Okay, so hello, my name is Yuriy Shkola. I'm Flex alumnus of generation 2019-2020. I spent my exchange year in state Tennessee, city Athens. Originally, I'm from Ukraine. Um, so today I'm going to share some information about my country and my exchange year in the US. So let's start with a brief overview of Ukraine. You can see some text about Ukraine. So, capital of Ukraine is Kyiv. It's not Kyiv. It's Kyiv. Ukraine is pretty young republic. It's this year. It's 29th birthday of Ukraine as independent country. If we will talk about first time when we can hear word Ukraine, it was in 1187, if I'm right. It's like ancient handwritten book, and you can see where Ukraine in it. So Ukraine is not. We do not have like specific number of people that live in this country right now because of all stuff that is happening. People are moving and like conflicts and stuff like that. But the newest number is 42 million. But for now, I'll say it's like 39 millions. If we're going to talk about size of Ukraine, I can compare it with Texas. It's approximately the same size as Texas. We do not use word state. We divide our regions to oblasts. We have 24 oblasts. I live in Dnipro Oblast. Ukraine is a center of Europe. It's also the biggest country in Europe. We have two seas. On the picture, you can see one of them. It's a Black Sea near Crimea. And we also have Azov Sea, that is also near Crimea. We also have mountains. We have Carpathian Mountains. The highest point of Ukrainian Carpathian Mountains is Hoverla. I'm saying Ukrainian Carpathian Mountains because they also go to Romania and Poland. So that's Ukraine on the world map. As I said, is a largest country in Europe. Diversity of Ukraine. Ukraine is different. Every town is unique. My favorite town of Ukraine is Lviv. You can see on the left picture. It looks like Italy, to be honest, or Austria. We call it as town capital of Ukrainian culture. It has a lot of churches and it's just beautiful. It has opera theater and you can find everything, literally everything. And if you want to hear like actual Ukrainian language, you need to visit this town because, to be honest, a lot of Ukrainian people that come from the east part of Ukraine, they do not understand what people saying in this town because it's in west part of Ukraine. And people that live in the west part of Ukraine, they cherish traditions, Ukrainian traditions, and it's really cool. So Kyiv, it's the capital of Ukraine, as I said. We hosted the Eurovision Song Contest. It's Eurovision, music contest between Europe countries. We won it twice. So Ukraine is music for Ukrainian people is a really important thing. Kyiv is the second capital of Ukraine. It was, it's the first capital of Ukraine, but then we had another town when we were a part of Soviet Union. We had the capital Kharkiv, and then it got changed to Kyiv again. And the Carpathian Mountains, no comments. It's just beautiful. Now I'm going to tell you about my town. So I'm from Kryvyi Rih. It's the longest city in Europe. The most interesting part about this town is no one knows how many miles or kilometers it actually is. But everyone knows that it's the longest city in Europe. Some people say that it's 42 miles long. Some people say it's 78 Wikipedia can say that it's 100 miles long, but I I don't know actually. So Kryvyi is industrial city. It's middle heart of Ukraine. We have a lot of careers around of town. I live close to one of them, and each week at 11 a.m. When I'm at home, I can feel my house literally shaking. It's like earthquake because they're blasting careers and they're looking for metal ore. Um, so yeah, it's pretty fun. um, and all of that happening like around of town. It's like four of them at least. We have also careers that are not working and they filled with water because water is coming from the ground and with sometime it's just filling all of it and we are swimming in them because actually this water is cleaner than water in the rivers because it's not polluted by like factories or something like that. Problems of living. I'll switch my slide because you can see this on one of the pictures, but I'll start from good things. Okay, so on the left one, you can see boat station. It's a place for tourists. It's like not actually working right now. You can come there and like swim on a boat. On the middle one, it's Ingled's career. It's the career that close to me. Uh, at some point of the time, it was the deepest in Europe. Right now, I don't think so, but it is. I'm not sure how to say in miles, but it's like I'll say 1 mile deep or more. It probably more because like it's a long. It was a long time ago when they're like not changing numbers right now, so I cannot say specific number. And the right picture, it's because it's industrial city, we have a lot of pollutions. Um, it's not that bad right now, and all of that you see, it's not smoke, not all of it, because it's a cloudy weather it was a cloudy weather, but we have a lot of pollution. And it's different type of pollutions. It's like water pollutions, it's air pollutions. So people that live in this town, they have a lot of problems with their health. I have a lot of problems with like my sinuses. So yeah. Another problem with living there is we do not have diverse variety of like jobs that you can choose from. So companies that like working and doing like all this career stuff, and they want you to work for them. So it's like the most like so like the more people come in like to this work on these factories, and like you cannot pick anything else unless you move from this town, to be honest. Cool life in the US and in Ukraine. So we have a lot of differences, and I noticed that people in Ukrainian school, they want to be like to get some things from American school, and people in American school, they're like, wow, this school is great. You're smart. We want to get something from there. And I don't know why I prefer American style, but I mean maybe it helps you in the future. I'm not sure. So for American people, elementary, middle, and high school, it's usually different facilities. So it's like different buildings. For Ukrainian people, picture you can see on the picture, it's my school that I'm studying in. It's the same building. So you come to this building, and first through 11th grade, it's the same building. Um, Senior year is 11th grade. For kids that are now in 4th grade, it's going to be grade.
So they're changing it?
Yeah, they're changing it
Okay,
right now.
interesting.
And another thing that they're changing right now, they're dividing elementary, middle, and high school. So like this school, my school, I'm final 11th grade. So they do not have 10th grade. So it's going to be only 1st through 9th grade. And if you want to continue your studying, you need to go to another school. And also, you study with the same group of people all 11 years. So like if in the US you move to class from class to class, and it's always like different people. But for you in Ukraine, it's always the same people. So it's kind of easier, but at the same time, it's like it's not so diverse. So like you cannot find like new people to talk to. But it differs like what you prefer. So the next thing is Zeno. It's the nightmare of Ukrainian high schooler because it's an exam that you need to take in order to get to a college. I can relate it to SAT or ACT, but if we'll compare it, it's like nothing. It's not the same at all. Because if you want to take the no, you actually need to study. It doesn't work for you to just know English or something unless you're taking the no on English. It divided by classes. We have required exams that you need to take and exams that you need to take in order to get to a college that you want to. It depends on your major that you're going with. So I plan to go for international relationship major, and I need to take Ukrainian language and literature. I need to take Ukrainian history, English, and math. So you can choose also another subject, but I'm not going to because I don't need to. So all those are required. So once again, required exam that you need to take is Ukrainian language, literature, history or English, math, and math divided to two levels because it's required, but for some majors it's not required, like for a college. So for me, it's not required as for a college, but it's required for me to take it. So I get like easier but not really type of the test. So it's just crazy. Like they changed it like only this year, so I'm also just trying to understand what's happening. So the next thing is extracurricular things. Unfortunately, we do not have things the US has. We do not have choir. We do not have theater, and all other things. Um, And I'm really sad about that because I really like choir, I really like theater, but well, you cannot do all those things at school, but you can find something like that outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it depends on your town that you live in and things that are out of it. So like for me, it's not that easy to find it because I'll show you. I live on the bottom part of my town, so like I'm not really close to like city center, so I need to spend like 3 hours to get into the city center because it's actually the longest city in Europe. um, so okay, classes. Unfortunately, another thing that Ukrainian students love about American high school is that you can pick some of classes, and we cannot because so we study everything. At my high school, we study, at this point, we study 3 languages. And before that, we were studying 4 languages. Right now, we do not study Russian. So we study English, Ukrainian, and German. And we do a lot of math things like algebra, geometry. We do literature, world literature. We do histories, Ukrainian world, and art stuff, and all of other things. But because like it's everything, it's like 30 subjects. So each day it's at least 8 classes, or 7 to 8 classes, and you just like you're getting tired, and we get a lot of homework to do. Like if I was in the US, and it's not a fact that I will get a homework today, so I can like relax. But in Ukraine, it's like you come here and it's like, or you're getting a test, or you're getting homework, or you're getting a test and a homework, and it gets a lot of your energy. So how school works? Once again, I said you get there and you spend 11 years there, and what is after? You go to college. So you take the note and you send them your papers, and they're looking on your Zeno points, and they rate you based on like in comparison with other people. And colleges get some money from government, so they can like get people uh, study there for free, but it's like always limited, so you need to get this place in like a fight, in like your educational fight. Typical Ukrainian school inside, it's like in every school they use a lot of stands, and those stands are about nothing. It's like pictures of Ukraine, something about Ukraine. It could be like a poem about Ukraine. It could be something about math. You can see the math posters. It could be a plagiarism or something like that. Right now, a lot of COVID stuff. So it's just a lot of different things. Uh, that's English classroom, history classroom, teacher desk. So I forgot to tell that we have the same group of people that we study with, and we also have a home teacher that is with us, and she's checking on us. Um, in elementary school, we have another one, and then when we go to middle and high school, we have a teacher that stays with us through 5th to 11th grade. So English classroom, it was my classroom before I went to the US. It's my teacher sitting right there. And right now I'm staying in this, in the middle one, in my history classroom. And that's a teacher. That's my home teacher. She is history teacher. She's also civics and geography teacher. Living with an American host family. It's a very broad topic, but I'll try to be brief and informative. So, okay, it is just different. Host family almost always different from your natural family. What I mean by that? So, if in your natural family you have like mom, dad, maybe a sibling. So in your host family, usually it's always different. You can have a single parent, you can have 2 dads, and etc. You can have siblings, you can have pets, and stuff like that. It's really interesting, as I think, because you can get like unique experience. You can get like experience of you that you didn't try before. So I did not have like siblings that young, so it was really interesting experience for me to like be a big brother. um, we are constantly the first people in a chain of communication. Um, they are the first people that you're going to talk to if you have any problems. So it's really important to communicate with them if you have any problems, and they really affect your exchange here. And it really depends on them and on you. So if you do not talk to them and you have problems, it's not a fact that it's going to get better. You need to talk to someone. So They really become for you like actual family. So it's really important to be open with them. Uh, Life in the US is not always what you see in the movies. So when you live with American family, you get true perspective. Um, um, American life in the movies is something interesting. It's like living in a palace, eating fast food and stuff like that. Um, But when you live with an American family and you hear stories of other exchange students, you can understand that there is no specific term of American life because it's also always different. Like they have their own schedule, they work differently, they spend their like holidays differently. So like the same for like Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas, they do mostly everything different. So like for Thanksgiving, they could come together as a family and eat something. Other people can go somewhere else, and etc. etc. So it's really interesting to see what it is, and more interesting than to talk to other people and to see how they are doing it in comparison. So it's really cool. Uh, Another thing when you come to the US, it's I just say there is nothing that you can do. So like you get to experience things that you did not try before. Like I did not try choir and theater before, and if I wanted to try it in Ukraine right now, they would tell me like, no, you're too old. So like I wanted to play the instrument, musical instrument like guitar or violin or something like that. And if I will come to musical school right now, they will tell me, oh, okay, but you're too old. We get like kids of like 6 years old, and you're like 17. No. But in the end, I did get to learn how to play the guitar, and wow, it's really like you get a lot of opportunities that you can try, and like people are really open about that. It doesn't matter if you did not try it before. It's like you're a blank paper, and people want to learn something about you, and it depends only on you how you're going to show yourself as a person to those people. So you need to really think about that, like when you come to the US or other country, because people do not know about you. They probably just have seen pictures of you on Facebook, that your host family or local coordinator posted, but well, you just need to be open, be yourself. Along the life, when I was leaving the US, I was like, well, I guess that's the end. Okay, I cried a lot. um, but well, when I got back home, I wanted to a lot of things. I started implementing projects in my community. I did not succeed a lot. I'm still not always succeeding in it because unfortunately people in my community are not like want to take part in that. But I mean, I don't know why. uh, but I'm getting better. I'm gaining experience of what it is. For now, I'm Education USA ambassador in my town and Flex City representative. So there are projects that are happening weekly for me. At the same time, I'm reading my 11th grade at school and preparing for exams, as I know. So my life has never been that busy, and it was not even that busy when I was in the US. um, so when you come back as an alumna or alumnus, it's not the end. If you want to stay in touch with your Flex family, you can. There are a lot of projects that are happening. You can implement projects, you can get grants to implement projects and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And I did not know about that actually. I mean, I did know that there's stuff that's happening, but I did not know that it's that much. And it's really cool. You can meet a lot of people, different people from different countries, and I cannot just describe it. And a lot of those people they work in different like organizations, and it's good to know people from different organizations. And it's like they're changing world and Ukraine, so it's just like wow. I did not know that there are like a lot of people that are related to Flex and like government facilities and like other organizations. So that's it for Ukrainians, I think. You can learn more about American consuls.
Mhm.
You can visit social media. You can visit Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. There's also a website that you can visit and learn more about exchange. You can host a student
Mhm.
probably in the future. And yeah, questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. I always learn new stuff about like every country that our students are from every time. So, are you the first student from your school in Ukraine, your
Yeah,
specific school, to come on Flex?
I'm like the second in my district.
Oh wow. Is there a reason why your town is so long? Like why it's built that way?
Probably because it's industrial.
Oh,
Like they are looking for metal ore,
yeah.
and like it's all around of it. So they're just like trying to.
Yeah. That's a really interesting way to build a city. So I get one of my main questions is before you got your placement notification
Yeah.
last year, had you ever heard of the state of Tennessee before?
Not quite.
No. Did you have any idea where it was before you looked it up? Like where it was in the US?
I do think that it's like central
Mm.
somewhere.
What did you
Yeah.
think when you started learning about it then, before you came here?
I'm sorry.
When you first heard Tennessee and you started researching it, what did you
Yeah.
think before you came?
I was like, okay, so it's not quite different as I expected.
Mm.
I did expect some like I don't know something like colder, but as I was learning, like we had a booklet, like book about
Mm.
like U.S. states from Flex program,
Mhm.
and like I did look for like temperature, and it was quite the same. But when it came, it was not quite the same.
Yeah.
All this like the main problem for me was, and probably still is differences between temperature inside and outside. Outside is always hot for me.
Yeah.
Inside, in my host family house, it's like always cold.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they come home and I'm wrapped in a blanket. It was always cold, and my host father was like, why are you so cold? Like it's hot. It's like it's hot in here, and he turns it down, and I'm like, oh gosh. And they tell me that I come from like a cold country.
Yeah, that's very common in the South. It's so hot outside in the spring and summer and even part of fall, but you keep your inside like really, really cold. So all you have to do is go from like cold building to like your car to the next building. So you're never you're never outside very long. What's your favorite thing looking back about living in Tennessee?
I really liked this like nature part of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of mountains, and I just love mountains.
Yep.
And I did some hiking while I was there, and it's pretty cool. Like they have a lot of nice places, and as I understood, like not everyone that lives like even close to those places, they know about them, and it was really interesting like to learn about them. They had like waterfall, cascade waterfall, and that was just like right there in in the mountains. You just need to go outside and come there, and it's just like it's wow. Like in my area, we not have those type of things. We have careers, but that's it. But like I'm just like I have two things that I just love. It's mountains and high ceilings. So like while I was in DC, I was just like when we come to like Memorial, Jefferson's Memorial, or like Lincoln's Memorial, or somewhere else, I'm just looking at the ceilings. I'm like, wow. So I have a lot of pictures of me just looking at the ceilings.
Is there anything, because you spend the whole year, obviously, not just learning about the US, but teaching Americans about Ukraine. So is there anything like new or interesting that you learned about Ukraine just from teaching Americans about it?
About as I'm not quite sure about that, but I did learn what for other people, for like foreign people, what Ukraine is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite interesting perspective
Yeah.
that they see it from. A lot of people think that Ukraine is not independent country but a part of Russia. Some people think that it's very polluted because of Chernobyl. So one of the most popular questions to me was like, so do you live far from Chernobyl?
That's interesting.
I'm like, yes. So you're like, you're not affected by radiation, no? I'm like, no, I'm fine. It's fine. Like even people that live close to this place, they're fine.
Yeah. Was that more like adults that would ask you that? Because I feel like there's definitely a certain generation of people who remember Chernobyl. And,
it's like people probably that have seen this TV series.
Yeah.
They're like, so I've seen that on TV. So are you fine?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Did living abroad make you look at Ukraine any differently? Like not in a good or bad way, just differently?
It did. Like, so in the fall, I was writing an essay for a civic education workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to write about economical or some type of issue of area that I live in. And I've seen a lot of bad things that I wanted to change. And as I was going with like my life in the US, I started to see a lot of good things. I did see what Ukrainian people actually is, and I started to see all like beautiful parts of Ukraine. I started to see like all of those interesting things. I did become more patriotic about my country, and now I'm like more pro-Ukrainian. I say that we need to develop this country and stuff like that. I think that I started to speak more Ukrainian language. I'm speaking Russian only with people that I got used to speak with, because it's like I just cannot switch. I feel uncomfortable, and if you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to. And if I'm talking to like new people or people in like stores or somewhere, I speak Ukrainian. And some of people do not understand why it is important, and like, well, so yeah.
Yeah, we hear about that in the US, even like how over the past like recently, especially a few years, there's been like a movement, I guess, for people to speak more Ukrainian in Ukraine. I guess that's what we hear sometimes on the news.
It's not only about language, but like a lot of things.
It's interesting. Do you have any questions, Lauren?
Here's a kind of a silly question. Are there any American foods that you miss now that you've been home for 8 months or so?
Yes, I do. I miss Mexican food.
I knew you were about to say that. Everyone misses it when they leave the US, which is funny.
For
Yeah.
us, typical American food is Mexican food. I miss Taco Bell. I miss restaurant that we did go to. It's like you cannot find things for taco here,
Hmm.
and it's pretty sad. But I did make chili, and it was wonderful. I had some kind of nostalgia because it was tasting almost the same, and I was pretty proud of myself.
Cool.
Do you still get the chance to, especially with the time difference, do you get the chance to still talk to your local coordinator and your host family a lot?
I do not really talk to my local coordinator. Like we do chat sometimes.
Mhm.
She usually sends me like opportunities that I can like apply for, and as for host family, they are really busy,
Mhm.
so we usually just like chat or something. Right now, it's not really often,
Mm.
but it happens. I was at their wedding couple of weeks ago, um,
Aw.
but I'm pretty often talking to my best friend from the US. She's in college right now, but like we're FaceTiming on the weekends, so.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if I know I had a bunch of questions. You answered a lot of them as you were presenting,
Yeah.
actually, which is really good. I was like, you like anticipated some of the questions I was going to ask, so that was really great. Yeah, I don't know, Lauren, do you have any other questions? I think this is a really, like I said, this is a really great presentation, and I think I really like the glimpse into where you live, because Ukraine is huge. I love that it's nice when Americans have a reference point, like it's the size of Texas, for example. So yeah, it's nice to hear about like where you live and you're part of Ukraine and your specific town. Are you in the process of like applying for university?
Kinda, because in Ukraine you apply to a college after you take the non, so
Right,
it's like at summer.
Yeah.
But I do apply to LCC, it's International University in Lithuania.
Mhm.
It's like American type liberal arts
Mhm.
type of university. I'm applying there, and I'm going to send them this semester grades. Then I'm going to have interview, and then I'm going to see what I'm getting from that.
Yep.
I'm not sure that I'm actually going to attend this university because it's pretty expensive,
Mm.
and even if they will cover me like half of it, it's not enough for me. And yeah, but well, I'm going to try.
Yeah, well,
And
we wish you the best of luck. It's
thank
always
you.
a fun. I remember those days trying to get into university. So, yeah. Well, I don't want to keep. I know it's probably getting a little bit late over there, so I don't want to keep you a whole lot longer. But I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your evening to talk to us. And this has been really interesting to hear what you've been up to since you've been back in Ukraine. And I know we'll hear from you in the future too, as you continue to do more alumni projects. And just remember, you can always keep in touch with us and send us updates and stories, and reach out to us on social media, because we're all hanging out on social media these days. So awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank
Yuriy. It
you.
was really interesting. All right.